Hey everyone, I wanted to go over the week 4 summative assessment with you. It's called Professional Communication Channels Responses, which is not an easy name to say. Sounds like a tongue twister to me. There's only brief instructions here, so read through this. And then there is the worksheet that you're going to fill in, and I'm going to go over this with you because this is where most of the information is. But there's a few instructions here, which is read each scenario and the instructions carefully and explain why you've chosen each of the channels, which you'll see in a minute, based on the details of the scenario. And then refer back to the scenario and the details of that scenario as evidence to support your reasoning. So this one is really important, and we'll look at that in a moment. And then each explanation is a minimum of 100 words, and you should be using either third or first person, which I'll show you in just a minute. And then always check the grading rubric, especially before you submit it, to make sure you have reflected each of the criteria correctly in your assignment. Okay, so let's look at this. Here is the worksheet that you're going to be using to complete this assignment. There are more instructions here similar to on the instruction page of the assignment. So make sure to read the scenarios carefully, maybe even highlight or underline some important details that you may want to come back to and use in your explanation or your reasoning for choosing a certain channel. You only want to choose one channel, though there is one scenario similar to the example that's given on this worksheet in which two are very similar, and I'll show you that in a minute. So you're going to list the channel that you have chosen. There may be several channels that would work, but you are only going to choose one and explain why you chose that. Give your reasoning based on the details in the scenario. Your explanation should be at least 100 words, and you want to use either third or first person, which I'm going to show you. But you do not want to use you in your explanation. So let's take a look at the example. The example that you could look at, and we will look at this together. The first scenario, which is the example, is a job interview. And it says you are looking to hire a candidate who would be a good fit with your company or for your company. You have narrowed it down to 3 candidates who are most qualified, but you want to know more about them and why they want the job. You've chosen face-to-face communication as what you feel would be the best channel for this scenario. Now you're going to choose one style, third person or first person. The explanations in these examples are exactly the same. The only thing that changed is the point of view. In this point of view, it's third person. You're an outside narrator explaining without using yourself why this would be the best channel. You're giving your reasoning without saying me or I. So let's read what this says. In this case, face-to-face communication would be the preferred channel or a virtual meeting if the candidate lived in a different city or state. These are both face-to-face forms of communication, so they're not different channels because they have the same features and advantages. So that's okay, but it's still only one channel. Job interviews require the interviewer and the candidate to exchange information by asking and answering questions, which can be best accomplished in a face-to-face or virtual setting. You could add, because you can do this right away without having to wait for an email or something like that. It's instant information, instant questions, instant answers or clarification. When interviewing candidates, it's also important to learn about their communication skills and personality, such as confidence and professionalism. concrete examples, by observing nonverbal cues like body language, eye contact, and tone of voice. And this is something that you can do with face-to-face because you can hear them and you can see them. Face-to-face also creates a personal connection, allowing the interviewer to decide if the candidate is a good fit, something that is harder to judge over the phone or email in writing. Okay. And this says the exact same thing, but here it says you, right? And so now you are being that you. In this case, I would use face-to-face. When I'm interviewing candidates, it's also important to learn about their communication skills, which would allow me, all right? So that's the first person. You have 7 scenarios, so you want to make sure to read through them carefully. A solicitation means asking people for a donation, in this case for money, or other donations for a charity. And a charity is an organization in which relies on donations and gifts of money to sustain themselves. This solicitation is an animal rescue. This one gets people a little confused. This is not a public shelter. They are funded by the city or state or county, though they do ask for additional donations. But this is an animal rescue. They are usually much smaller entities that don't get money from public entities and rely on individuals and groups and grants. So this is information about why they need money more than ever or donations more than ever right now. It is not COVID, it is after COVID, it is now, but since COVID and inflation, rescues have been greatly impacted. So it tells a little bit more. You are going to decide what channel you would use, which would be an effective channel, and why. And then you're going to explain why you chose that channel using either third person or first person and going back to the scenario to justify and provide evidence of why this channel would work. Now, I'm going to be posting this in an announcement, and there will be some examples, another example as well, and some further information. You're going to do this for all 7. Remember, it's at least 100 words. Mine are, I believe, about 114 words. That is sufficient. If it's 120 or 25 words, that's okay as well. I wouldn't go over 200 words. It's not necessary. They're all different scenarios. This one also sometimes confuses students. You are not writing a business report. You are circulating the business report as evidence to get department leaders and leads to support you in making changes to the corporate structure. Okay, so, and then there's one about updating clients on health benefit coverage and replying to a job ad. All right. As always, if you have any questions about this assignment, please reach out to me, send me a message, or even post in the questions section if others might benefit from that question as well. All right, everyone. Hope you're having a good day.